Mhm.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. I'm Christy Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hi, Katie.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going well. Yeah.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
This is our Wednesday show,
Yeah.
and this is our MMIW case. So we have committed to focus on the missing and murdered Indigenous women cases in the U.S. and Canada all year on our show, and that's what this case is. And all I have to say, my friends, is be ready for your blood to boil when I tell you this story.
Yeah.
This story is local to us. So let me bring this up so that we can get started. This is Rebecca Plentywounds. And Rebecca Plentywounds was living on the reservation at Fort Hall, which is the Shoban or the Shoshone-Bannock Reservation here in southeast Idaho. It's about 25 miles from Idaho Falls, where I live. I have to tell you, and this is a cold read for Katie, and you might think that's weird because it's local to us, but I will guarantee you Katie's never heard of this case.
Yeah.
I haven't either. And this is the beginning of holy hell. Okay, so Rebecca was 35 years old, and she was last seen on her birthday, which was October 18th, 2017.
Okay.
She was missing until her mother and sister. Do we see a pattern here? Who looks for people who looks for Native people who go missing? Their families, not the police. But her mother and sister found her remains in a pasture. This was near her mother's home in Fort Hall.
Okay.
On October 24th.
Okay.
Up to 2017.
6 days.
Yeah, 6 days.
Okay.
Her body had been dismembered.
Oh.
And also appeared to have visible cuts and bruising on her face and abdomen like she had been assaulted. So she looked like she'd been beat up, and then she'd been dismembered.
Oh my God.
So you would just think naturally this would be considered a homicide. Yes?
Yeah. People don't typically dismember themselves. So, yeah.
Right. Or beat up themselves.
Yeah.
So in January of 2018, so 4 months later,
yeah.
Fort Hall authorities tell the media that they're waiting on toxicology and autopsy information before announcing cause of death. Still, at this point, they have not called this a murder. Rebecca's family is getting really upset, and they're saying she was not suicidal, and they believe she was murdered. Now, does that not seem like totally obvious to everyone listening? Yeah. That a dismembered woman is found, and immediately they're waiting on toxicology. Okay, fine. To find cause of death, sure. Yeah. But to determine if this is a murder or not?
No, they're waiting to see how much alcohol was in her system to decide if we should care or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, unfortunately, there is very little more information about this case. I can find nothing about her a murder investigation actually being opened on her. I can find nothing about her cause of death or her autopsy ever being released. I did find that at one point they discovered that her boyfriend had her phone. And her boyfriend had contacted her mother with her cell phone, with Rebecca's cell phone, to say that he didn't know where she was and this was weird of her not to come back. So she's out there being murdered and he has her phone. Interesting. I don't even know his name because it has not been published. There have been no details of any further police investigation been published anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The police back in 2018 said they're investigating, but they don't have any suspects. I mean,
wow.
So a couple of other minor things we know. She was really excited because she was about to get full custody of one of her children. She'd been in a custody battle over one of her kids, and she was about to be granted full custody of that child. And she was really, really excited about it. The police continue to just tell the family that this is an ongoing investigation, but that's it. They don't tell them anything. Her family has repeatedly said publicly, they think somebody killed her. She was not suicidal at all. She was just a happy, upbeat person.
I just don't understand this.
Right?
Obviously, somebody killed her.
Yeah.
At the very least, somebody dismembered her.
And dumped her body.
And dumped her body. I mean, what? So I'm assuming it's the Fort Hall police that we're discussing here.
Yeah.
The res police, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Her body was found on the reservation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Although the res police can ask for help outside of, but we know that there are not good relationships between the police on reservations. Often there's a lot of distrust, and I get that. And I don't want to discount that for reservation police because they've had a lot of challenges, and we know they have. We've seen evidence of that. But no one gives a damn about this woman.
No.
Besides her, well, her family clearly does, but beyond that, no one cares.
Right.
This is not even being treated as a homicide. This is not even, there's no priority to this at all. I found about 3 articles on her, and they all say exactly the same thing, and there hasn't been anything since 2018.
My God. And you're right. So, I had never heard of this case.
No. So we're going to take a little commercial break. And when we return, we're going to have Katie give us a cold read on what she thinks happened to Rebecca Plenty Wounds.
Okay.
Okay, that was our commercial break, and we are back. So, Katie, what do you think about this case, other than that you want to start strangling people? What do you think happened to Rebecca Plenty Wounds?
Well, first I want to say that I do believe that her family and friends have managed to come up with their own ideas of who they think may have hurt her. I think that they do have an idea of where she was that night and who she might have been associating with. I feel like they do know, but no one's listening to them. Nobody wants to hear it. I feel like, in a candid conversation with them, they would tell you, well, these are the people we talked to. This is who her phone had called. This is, that they have a pretty good sense of it, but it doesn't matter because no one's listening to them whatsoever. So on that front, now, obviously, at some point, we don't know. They don't know, exactly how she came to be in that pasture and what happened.
But they've got way more information than this.
They do. They do.
Yeah,
they do.
But it's clearly nothing's being done about it.
Yep. No one is interested in it at all. Which is so hard because how can that be? I mean, I look at these cases and I go, how can this be America? How can this be the United States? This is not the US that we have been led to believe we live in. It's not.
Well, you got to remember that Fort Hall is considered a sovereign nation.
Yeah.
That means that they are literally not the US. They are their own nation.
Yep.
And obviously do not receive the same kind of benefit when someone in their community gets murdered.
Yeah.
As we do. Like if it was to happen here in Idaho Falls, Idaho, it would have been handled in a completely different way.
Yeah.
I don't know who to blame here. The list is long.
I feel like she was in Pocatello and in Blackfoot that night. That she was at various establishments that night with various friends. You know
It's
that
her
she kind of
birthday.
it was her birthday. She was celebrating. She was, I believe, she'd been seen at a few different places with various people,
Mhm.
and but I can't shake what I tune into this and tune into her. I keep seeing this altercation with a car.
Mm.
I feel like she ended up trying getting a ride home or thought she was getting a ride home with someone who, and it wasn't the boyfriend. I am not sure why the boyfriend wasn't with her at this time. I kind of wonder if they'd had a fight or something and he'd already gone home. But I feel like he, wasn't with her when any of this happened. I do feel like somebody was supposed to be getting her home and that there was something that happened in the car. There was a fight, there was some kind of an altercation. I wonder if they were trying to sexually assault her or what was going on in the car. I feel like she actually jumped out of a moving car.
Okay.
I feel like that's where this started. And that she was seriously injured from that. I think the injuries that they're seeing on her that look like she was beat up, she was beat up a little in this fight inside the car, but she jumped out of a moving car. I feel like that's where a lot of her injuries actually came from. I don't feel like the car was going extremely fast. I feel like maybe they were already really slowing down, but I feel like she was, yeah, trying desperately to get away from whoever these people were. I feel like there were 2 men involved in this. I feel
Okay.
like one of them lived on the res as well, and one of them did not. I feel like there were 2 different men that were involved in this. Why they chose to dismember her, I feel like they were going to try to dig a hole and bury her body, but it took them way longer than they thought it would, and they had to get the hell out of there because it was getting light out, and so they didn't finish the job. And then they thought maybe they'd come back the next night and finish the job and bury her. But then people were looking for her and there was a buzz about where she was at and they didn't dare come back. So I think the plan had been we're going to just dismember her body. It'll be easier to hide. And we're going to bury it out in this pasture and nobody will be the wiser. But again, I think it just took them so much longer to dismember her body than they thought that they got scared and got paranoid and left and just left her there like that. Uh, why there hasn't been a greater investigation into this, I will never understand. But I do feel like that's what happened. Now, the question being, are these people that her family knows? One of them, yes. One of
Okay.
them, yes. The other one, no. He's not. He's not a Native American. He doesn't live on the res. And there's a real crossover there in that area. Some
Mhm.
white people do live on the reservation. Some Indians do live off the reservation. It's not necessarily completely crisp lines. It's not.
No, no, not at all.
But at any rate, the other person, I still think though that we're looking at people from like Blackfoot and Pocatello. I don't think that they're people from far away at
Okay.
all. But I do think that they were men that thought they were going to take advantage of her, kind of got into it with her, and she surprised the hell out of them by jumping out of the car and hurting herself. I wonder if God, I really hate it. I think in however she ended up catapulting out of the car, that she died from those injuries. And then they were just freaked out and had no idea what to do with her. And this is what happened. This was fueled on their part by a lot of alcohol and drugs. There was quite a bit happening here. I mean, this isn't people that were thinking clearly at all. And anyway, it's just extremely sad. It makes me sick that this happened and that there wasn't better follow through in every way.
Right.
Now, I'm going to say this though. I think it's possible that this case could be solved in the future. I think it's possible that one of these men may end up being charged with a different crime and use this information to turn on their pal and get a lighter sentence on something else and actually bring this to light at some point. I think it's very possible
Oh, I
that
hope so.
actually
I hope for her
somebody
family.
will confess to this at some point.
Yeah, I hope for her family.
Me
Wow.
too.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that read. I feel like we've probably given more information in this episode than there is anywhere on this case, which is just insane. It's
Yeah.
insane. But
Yeah.
this is the work that we have to do, you guys. If you're listening or watching, this is the work that we have to do in our communities about the missing and murdered Indigenous women cases.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a woman being dismembered and her case never being investigated and her family never even being told that the authorities believe she was murdered?
Well, how can you imagine how helpless it must feel to have a family member missing and have no one helping you look, nobody giving a shit about it
No.
until you finally find them.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, in this kind of a state and not have the world on fire over it.
Right. No, you can't imagine. I can't imagine what that must feel like. And all I know is that we have to continue using our platform to bring these cases to light because this is wrong on every level and we have to change it.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, so that is the story of Rebecca Plentywounds. And we will definitely keep an eye on that case. And if anything shows up for us, any updates, we will let you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you know anything about this case or know any updates, please send them to us.
Yeah.
I spent a long time researching this case, finding such a small amount of information, but I wanted to cover some cases that are local to us because we do live near a reservation. And so we wanted to focus on some of these cases that are happening locally because we know that they exist.
Yeah.
Well, this is our Wednesday night show. So we will be back this evening at 7 p.m. Mountain for our case update show. There are some shenanigans happening in the Vallow Daybell case, as you can imagine. We've got those to share, plus some other things we're going to talk about. Then tomorrow night is Thursday, so we have the psychic hour, and we'll be having a lot of fun with that. So
yeah,
stay tuned for lots more great content coming this week. And as always, don't forget to comment, subscribe, like, and share. We're growing, but we would like to continue growing. You want to see us get bigger? Help us.
Yeah.
Share our stuff. We always appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
All right. And if you want to send us a case, do that by going to truecrimeparanormalpodcast.com. Down at the bottom of the page, you can fill out a little form sending us your case. We have a huge list that we pull from on a regular basis. We will try to get to everybody eventually. So we really appreciate all those suggestions. And we are True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. Thanks for being here, you guys.
Thanks, guys.